Hi everyone, I wanted to do a quick walkthrough of a little project that I've been working on. It is a Quidditch simulator. I've always enjoyed simulators. I like when you can have two different AIs going against each other and you can sort of observe how the games go out. And if I'm learning a new engine or like a new language, that's typically the first thing that I go to is printing random strings for like the team names and then doing like a random dot range for the number in order to figure out who wins and who loses. So this is the first time that I've done like a full-fledged simulator based on a specific sport. So this is Quidditch, which is the main sport in the world of Harry Potter. So you have a team going against another team where you have chasers who are trying to score certain points. You have keepers who act as goalies. You have beaters who are trying to block the shots. And then you have seekers who are trying to find a little golden ball. And then once you find that and catch that, then you are given 150 points, and then the game will end right there. So there's a couple of different elements that are going on in this simulator. So I wanted to do a quick showcase of what the game is and a little bit of how I did it. So over here we can pick one of the 4 house teams inside of Hogwarts. And once you've picked 2 teams, then you can press begin match, and you can see down here they each have their own individual lineups. So let's just do random and random. So we'll have Gryffindor versus Hufflepuff, and we'll press begin match. So we have different lines of what is happening in the game right here, of basically who has the quaffle, which is the ball where if you get it through the hoop, then you get 10 points. You can see the individual person and what they're doing with it, so they can pass it, they can intercept it, they can get hit, they can drop it, and then when they get to the end of the pitch, they can shoot it, and then it can either be blocked or you can score. So I'll let this go over here and I'll kind of walk through what is going on through the code behind the scenes. So first I wanted to look at the teams aspect of it. So we have our list of players here. They each have their own individual stats. So we have our list of the 4 houses right up here. And then each of the teams have like a list of chasers, a list of beaters, a list of keepers, and a list for seekers, and each of them have their own individual stats. All of these are relatively balanced, so they all have the same number of points allocated to their little point pool, but some teams may be better at like shooting, or some might be better at passing, or some might have faster speed and be better at dodging. So I tried to make them the same but just a little bit different, so that way I could see how the tuning worked inside of the game. So taking a quick look at the game, it looks like Gryffindor is doing pretty well. They took a shot and then they scored, so they increased their score from 40 up to 50. So they're kind of pulling away with it at the moment. So how that is working is from our chasers. So they are taking the quaffle from the end of their pitch to the opposite end of the pitch and then trying to score based on their shooting range. So the way that I kind of structured that is if you were to picture the middle of the pitch right here as like the midpoint or like 50, then whichever side of the pitch you are on, so like if we were Gryffindor, this would be our 0, and we'd be moving up the field, and then once we reached 100, that's where the opposite end of the hoops would be. However, if we were Hufflepuff, this would be our 0, and then we would move down to have it be 100. So if we were to stop the quaffle at like the 70 mark for Gryffindor, then Hufflepuff is picking it up at their 30, and then they're going to try to work their way this way. They can pass the quaffle, which adds a range of distance to try to get down the field. Whenever it is passed, there is a chance that it could be intercepted by the other team. And if they are just trying to carry it and just trying to make their way through, there's a chance that the other team could tackle them and then knock the quaffle loose as well. When they reach the end of the pitch, they have a chance of, they try to score, but they have a chance to score. So you can see like this small font right down here. They tried to take a shot at the left hoop, but it was blocked by the keeper, and then the keeper sent it back to the other team, and then they tried to make it up their field. So they have their own individual shooting score, and then I try to compare that to the keeper's blocking score, and then if it's greater than the point is scored. If it's less than, then the keeper blocked it, and then they send it back to the other team. To add another layer of chaos to that, we also have beaters, whose job it is to send these little iron balls called bludgers at the opponents to try to take them out of commission. So you can send it at any random person. So that could be anybody on the other team. So it could be chasers, or it could be a keeper. It could be the seeker. If they are hit by it, I take them out of commission, so they can't be a part of it. They can't take the quaffle, they can't block the hoops, or they can't go after the snitch for a certain period of time until they recover. And then I also have a cooldown on that, so they don't just like constantly send it. They have to, in terms of the game, try to wait until the bludger either comes to them or they go to the bludger, and then they send it off to a different person there. It looks like Hufflepuff is trying to catch up just a little bit more in their game. The last position I wanted to look at is the Seeker. Now this is the one that took a little bit to work through. In the lore of Harry Potter, once the snitch is caught, which is that little gold ball, then that team gets 150 points and the game is immediately over. Now, in the world of Harry Potter, the snitch could be caught super quickly. Like, I think the record in terms of lore is 3.5 seconds, and then the longest game that they've had is over 6 months. So I wanted to capture a little bit of that energy. So inside of our chaser script here, I have Seeker. Whoops. I think I do anyway. There you go. Calculate Seeker time right here. So at the start of the game, we try to establish how long until the snitch is seen. So we have 3 different arrays that it has a random list of numbers in there. So it could be 1 second to 60 seconds that it pulls from, or it could be up to 450 seconds to 1800 seconds. So once we pick one random number from this random set, we do that 3 times. Then we average all of that together, and then that is how much time we need to wait until the snitch is visible. Now the snitch is the only 3D element in the game. So once the snitch appears, then we have our seekers who have a sight variable. So they're floating around in the 3D space trying to find the snitch. Once they are within range of the snitch, then they'll start to go after it. And then if they are within range, then they will grab the snitch. And then once the snitch is caught, then the game is immediately over and you add a 150 points to the score. So far it has worked out pretty well. The fastest that I've had from the start of the game to the end of the game has been 41 seconds, and the longest that I've had is 14 minutes, which is at the upper end of this range. And then I have quite a few that range between like 4 minutes to 11 minutes. So it's pretty good to just kind of have on in the background. But it's not too long and it's not too terribly short out of it. We can see over here that the snitch was caught by Gryffindor and it was given 150 points and the game immediately ended. I also created a match stats statistic button up here that tracks these statistics. So you can see how the individual chasers did for their shots on goal and the goals that they made, the tackles that they did onto the opponent, and the intercepts of like when the other team was trying to pass and they stopped the quaffle in between. We have the keeper, which is like our goalie, where we had 12 shots on goal and they saved 7 of them. We had our beaters that sent 13 bludgers, but only like 2 or 6 of them hit. And then we have our seeker who saw the snitch, but then lost sight of it, saw it again, and then they caught it. And then we also have the same stats down here for the other team. They didn't catch the snitch down here. Looks like this person didn't send any bludgers or have any hits. And then they also have their own set of shots and goals and tackles and intercepts. And then this game was about 5 minutes long. I also like taking this data and then throwing it into an Excel sheet. So we have our different lineups up here. And then we have our list based on a 4-team round robin where you can look at how the individual teams did. All of this data is tracked. So if we were to update the team up here to say like Ravenclaw, then the lineup is updated based on whatever's in the lineup section there. And then whatever data you put into here based on what was inside of the match statistics, then it is compiled into the stats section. So you can see who did what during what game, and then for each individual position. Then you can compile that into a pivot table so you can see who was the best chaser during that season, or like who was the best beater during that season, who had the highest block percentage for keepers, who saw the snitch the most, or who caught the snitch the most. So it's a neat way to sort of increase the scope of this individual game. So you could always just press new game. You can press 2 random teams, or you can say I want 2 specific teams to go at it, and then you can press go again. But that is sort of the little miniature game that I've been working on, and I'm very pleased with it. I like having it up if it's a slower day at work, or like if I need something up on my second monitor here at home. So thanks for listening. I hope you may have picked up something out of it, and I'll leave the description for the game inside of this video's description.